Good afternoon, everybody. This is Seth Moore again coming to you here on Anchor by Spotify. Hope everyone is well. It is currently 5:09 in the afternoon, and it is a breezy 65 degrees day. And I am not even certain if that is correct because they said it was 80 degrees earlier. So we are here, and we're here to bring you another podcast. We haven't been here for maybe a week or two. We have been, of course, getting other things prepared to bring to you, as well as handling other pertinent business that we need to attend to. So again, we're here, and we're hoping that you are well and that your family's well and that you're ingesting good stuff, that you're eating correctly, you're staying on top of your health, which is your greatest portal to the Creator, that you are connecting through mental, spiritual, and physical diet. Okay? Again, we're bringing you another podcast, and we're going to be talking about, is the black man God? And I'll, of course, be saying some things. There were studies done on this before, and you may be asking yourself, why is he going to talk about this? And listeners who listen in and attend the podcast may be asking questions as to the black man, quote unquote. I don't really like using that term black man because these titles and idioms have been used to subjugate and to directly remove the indigenous man from lands, resources, and the like. And so sometimes you run into some snags and snares when you begin to use a lot of these different codes and titles and so forth. But we'll just use that for now to, make reference and to give description to this phenomenon. So, and of course, I know there are a lot of questions that people have, and it also talks about the secret hidden in modern science. Is the black man God? And so the Muslims, some years ago, they actually talked about this. This was talked about in the message to the black man, and so forth. So, and when you look around the globe, when you look around the world, and the fight really is, and I'm going to drop something on you. The fight really is, and it always has been, to, so to speak, to block out the sun. And when I say to block out the sun, what I'm actually saying is to block out the reflection and the light givers, the light bringers. Understand what I'm saying. The light bringers to the planet, to the world, those who have brought the sciences, the arts, the mathematics, the astronomy, the geometry, the algebra, you name it, have brought all this to the civilized world. And it can't be argued. There's no debate in the astronomical effects and the overall prowess of, innovation when it comes to creating inhabitable, sustainable civilization for man and woman to thrive. Okay, so we're going to bring you this, and we're going to be reading some stuff in your hearing in just a moment. So stay right with us. Don't go anywhere. Okay, and we're right back with you again. Here, this is Seth Moore coming again to you here on Anchor by Spotify. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to, again, of course, bring you another podcast. So we're going to be talking about today, the secret hidden in modern science is the black man God. Okay, and I want to venture to kind of step out and say some things that you may not have heard before, and you've heard it here first. And there's really nothing new under the sun. And so someone somewhere has uttered what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it nevertheless. Now, the fight that we have in the global planet has been and has always been to who is God? Who is God? What are the images of God? Or we want to use those terms, creator. Who brought this all into being? Now, you can use biblical references as to a God and how this God brought all this thing into being. So, and I'm often given things by the Creator, and I would even step out, and some might even call me foolish, some might call me blasphemous or what have you. But have you ever thought about, and this is going to tie into our subject here, that it is the God of the black man against Satan. So the fight has always been a God figure against an evil figure, or what you would probably say as the sect, against the Haru, or against the Osiris doctrine. Okay, so there has always been, this energy or this force of chaos against this force of order. So who is the force of order and who is the force of chaos? The force of order has always been in antiquity and in ancient millennia has been the black man and woman. They have always been the force of order and spiritual guidance of the planet. With, of course, disturbances and interferences of different factions of sect that would come in to bring in chaos and disorder. So what I'm actually saying to you this afternoon is that the order of peace, harmony, righteousness, reciprocity, and all these things that come out of the Kemetic Maya theology has always had its fight against disorder, which is set. So, what am I saying? I am saying that the force of disorder that has been in the planet, that has been in the cosmos, that has been in the world, which still remains, is this force of chaos and disorder against the dark matter of order and consciousness of righteousness that has been governing the planet for millennia. Okay, and again, these orders have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and in some cases, millions of years. This order of divine guidance, this order of divine peace, this order of divine balance. So what I am saying in regards to this subject matter, before I even get started, is that I will be, when it says I will be, now this is in Isaiah, I will raise my throne. Now listen to me. This is profound, because you may not have heard it this way before, but I'm giving it to you as the Creator gives it to me. This is in Isaiah. I will raise my throne against the Most High. Now, who is the Most High? Now, you have deemed the Most High outside of your own God self to say that the Most High is some faraway God, or some celestial God in the sky, or some celestial God who is somewhere that you cannot reach, or you're looking for this celestial God in the atmospheric realm of being. And you have never or ever taken into account that you could be that Most High, that you are the Most High, that this disorder, this dysfunction, and its chaos is actually fighting against. Because it is the set against the Osirian myth or order of balance, reciprocity, so forth and so on, that is fighting this divine order. So you are, I would say, that divine order that this chaos and dysfunction is fighting against, and always has been. He is going to raise his throne amongst the Most High. Who is the Most High? If he is a woolly-headed black deity, then that woolly-headed black deity is you. Hello, somebody. It is you that it is fighting against, because you are that Most High energy. You are that molecular nine-ether energy that it's fighting against. But I digress for a moment, and we'll just read. The secret hidden in the modern science is the black man God and the heavens. We raise it high with power, and we are the makers of the vast extent and the earth. We have spread it out. How well we prepared it. Now, this is coming from the Holy Quran, Surah 51, verse 47 through 48. Ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Now, this is in Psalms, that your New King James Version, chapter 82, verse 6. And on page 48 of the book of the Message to the Black Man, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he speaks and he says this. And this was some time ago. And he makes the following statement: being the first people of the earth, we are destined to be the last. We are the creators and the makers. Listen, in the supreme wisdom lessons, now this is in their supreme wisdom lessons given to us by the master Fard Muhammad. Okay, each new convert of the nation of Islam must memorize and recite the answers to 10 questions. The first question is, who is the original man? Now, some of you might be saying, of course, I'm sure a lot of Christians probably will be saying, oh, man, come on, man. You know, you come up with that, and okay, so you want to stay in. You want to stay locked in a matrix. You want to stay locked in this biblical narrative, and I just given it to you because your interpretation is all wrong. You believe that you are wretched, so you need saving. Okay, you are so toe up, you need saving. There's nothing godly about you. Okay, other than, somebody got to come and save you and clean you up of your sins and make you whole again and all that kind of stuff. All right, we have no argument. The answer to that question is recited as follows. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. Many critics and detractors of the teachings given to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad from his teacher, Master Fard Muhammad, dismissed the notion that black people are in fact the original people and the makers and the gods of the planet Earth and the universe as nothing more than racist pseudoscience. That's what they're saying. This is racial pseudoscience. It is, or is it? Let's explore this question from a purely mathematical and scientific perspective. Okay, and so, of course, when you start talking about things like this, of course, you're going to get your distractors and so forth, and you're going to get those white supremacists and even some black supremacists, or those who are anti-black who happen to be on both sides of the spectrum, because you have black folks who are anti-black too. Okay, you certainly do. So we're going to explore this from a scientific and a mathematical perspective. It can be stated that at the cutting edges of this world's scientific knowledge, we will find the divine truths of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, these are just one teachings, and there are many. There are many, and there are even European scientists who have agreed. Okay, so let us go on. As I just read, it says it can be stated that at the cutting edges of this world's scientific knowledge, we will find the divine truths of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. This statement has never been more on point than with new scientific discoveries in the fields of molecular biology and the quantum physics. Okay? These new discoveries are now revealing a hidden, unacknowledged yet astonishing scientific secret that verifies in a mathematical way the reality of the black man and woman as the literal makers of the universe. We brought it into existence, and we'll find out how. Who is the original man? Molecular biology. This is what is being asked. On page 163, in a recently released book titled Black Genesis by renowned Egyptologist Robert Bernal, and the former NASA astrophysicist Thomas Brophy, the authors state the following. Scientists in the field of genetics have been pointing out that it may actually be correct to say that the world was created by black people. Listen, what caused the author of that book, to make such an astonishing statement was their reviewing of the 1987 mitochondrial DNA study done by biochemists at the University of California and published in Nature magazine, which pinpointed the genetic origins of all human beings on the planet back to a black woman in Africa who is referred to as the mitochondrial Eve. Mitochondrial Eve, according to these studies, would have walked the earth about 200,000 years ago. But as the authors point out, she was not alone or the first and only woman on earth. She was just the most recent human woman that all humans living today have at least one unbroken matrilineal line. The authors also reference studies that pinpoint the genetic markers for an African Y chromosomal Adam, who would have been the black father of all humans. So if these black people were the original people, at what point in history did the other members of the human family genetically come into existence? According to studies reported on in the March 7th, 2006 edition of the New York Times and carried out by geneticist Dr. Jonathan Pritchard and his team at the University of Chicago, along with Dr. Richard G. Klein at Stanford, the genetic markers that correspond with modern Asian and European populations, which includes genes associated with pale or white skin color, seem to have come into existence about 6,600 years ago. According to Dr. Klein's studies, there are few skeletons that match either modern Asians or Europeans that can be dated beyond 10,000 years ago. And so that's why you'll find when they're doing all these excavations and Egyptologists, which happens to be, when you understand that whole thing, it's a fraternity of Europeans who go around the globe trying to dig up, find treasures and proof of genetic antiquity, as it relates to the human genome and skeletons of species of peoplings of the planet who have been here for, millennia and so forth and so on. Okay, and as they dig, you're not going to find anything European beyond, it talks about after which 1200, somewhere around there, BC or whatever. So, and of course it just mentions here that beyond 10,000 years, it's really 6,600, but they say you won't find nothing beyond 10,000. So, okay, so in another study, by geneticist Hans Eberg at the University of Copenhagen and reported on in the January 31, 2008 edition of the Independent UK, it was found that the DNA sequences for the blue eyes were caused by a mutation that is described by Edberg and his team as a disruption in melanin production that took place between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago. According to the study, everyone before that time would have had brown eyes. And this is, you can find in the National Geographic, proves the teaching on, of course, Mr. Yakub. And you can find that at the, website, https, NOI, .org, article / National Geographic proves teachings or the Mr. Yakub story and the whole thing. Okay. And it goes on to say that what these scientific studies are telling us is that based upon the estimates of Western scientists prior to a time frame with a range of 10,000 to 6,000 years ago, the only people on this planet would have been black-skinned, brown-eyed people. These recent discoveries in molecular biology not only tell us who the original people on the planet were and are, but they also confirm the general time frame for the beginnings of the various races of man other than original, which is described in the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad at between 6,600 to 6,000 years ago. Okay, quantum physics, the first human observers. Okay, so more molecular biology confirms that the black man is the original man, but how does that make him the maker of the universe? And of course, again, some of you have heard this before, and of course, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not a new study, and all their pupils have to go through this teaching and absorb this knowledge. So they know this, they're aware of this, and then of course, you have 5%ers who are aware of this as well, and a lot of other people who are black folks who are aware of these teachings and these scientific facts. Okay. If we are to answer this question, we must dive into the cutting edge, mysterious world of quantum physics. Quantum physics can briefly be described as the study of the interactions of matter and energy at the quantum or the atomic and subatomic level. One of the scientific foundations of modern quantum physics is the concept known as wave/particles duality, which is a proven scientific observation that all atomic and subatomic matter, such as atoms, photons, electrons, and neutrons, exists as both a wave and a particle. What makes this concept even more bizarre is that the fact that what determines whether atomic and subatomic matter manifests itself as either a wave or a particle is human observation. In other words, when we are not looking, the subatomic world is manifested as a series of waves, but when we are consciously observing, it is manifested or collapses into individual particles. So when we are not looking, I'm going to say when melanated people are not looking. Now, this is pretty deep, y'all. When we are not looking, listen to this. I'm going to read that again. It says, when we are not looking, the subatomic world is manifested as a series of waves. Because of our molecular makeup, It's just like we just have to look, or we look away, it'll collapse. And I had said something in another podcast before, is that melanated people, we hold the universe together. We are the universe. We just have visitors. Everybody else is a visitor. That may be, you're visitors. We hold the universe together. If we were not here, it will collapse. Because everything in the molecular biological makeup of the universe consists of dark matter. And if you remove black people from the planet, it will collapse. I know you haven't heard that before. It will collapse. Now listen. And I just read to you in your hearing. And maybe I should again. It says, what makes the concept even more bizarre is the fact that what determines whether atomic or subatomic matter manifests itself as either a wave or a particle, human observation. Human observation. Black people are the only true humans within the cosmos. Understand that. Understand that. Overstand that. It says human observation. Who are human? Black people are the only human observators in the planet. Everyone else in the planet has Neanderthal DNA. There were studies already done. When we talk about how the scientists have studied this phenomenon of 9 ether and 6 ether entities within the cosmos, it came out that everyone else on the planet has a 6 ether DNA series, when Africans, or the Africans and those in the diaspora around the globe, have 9 ether series DNA, more than anyone else. That is because the 9 series DNA are the only Homo sapiens that are on the planet that carry that particular gene makeup. Okay, so here we are. In other words, when we are not looking, I read this a moment ago, the subatomic world is manifested as a series of waves, but when we are consciously observing it, it manifests or collapses into individual particles. This seemingly incredible phenomenon first came into the consciousness of Western science with the now famous Thomas Young double slit experiment in 1803. Young's experiment was designed to reveal the wave nature of light, and it involved shooting a beam of light at a screen with 2 parallel slits. This double slit screen was then placed in front of another screen that was designed to highlight the path and patterns produced by the beam of light or photons as they pass through the 2 slits of the screen in front of it. In the course of carrying out this experiment, a very strange and counterintuitive phenomenon was observed when the beam of light, which is made up of individual photons, is fired at the double slit screen. There appeared on the back screen an interference pattern indicating that the beam of light behaves like a wave that is spread out in space, thus going through both slits simultaneously as we would expect a wave to do. Yet, in experiments where the photons of light are fired at the screen one at a time, the same interference pattern is formed on the back of the screen, indicating that each individual photon still travels through both slits at the same time, as if the individual photons were a wave. So now we're talking about vibrational frequencies. Now, if that were not strange enough, when detectors were placed near the slit so that we might observe the path that each individual photon took, the photons behave like individual particles and travel through just one or the outer slit, causing the interference pattern on the back screen to disappear. So again, when we are not looking, subatomic matter behaves and manifests as waves, but when we are observing, it behaves and manifests as individual particles. And we talked about the 6 protons, neutrons, electrons in the atoms, and how that we are that element of tables that shoots out beams of light that absorbs those light energies to conduct manifestations of energy in the universe. What this actually means is that the very act of human observation itself literally collapses the wave patterns of all subatomic matter into individual particles. As strange as this may seem, this experiment has been repeated and confirmed over and over again in laboratories all over the world, and it is now an established and accepted reality in the field of quantum physics. Quantum physics refers to this phenomenon as the collapse of the wave function and or the observer effect, as originally proposed by the mathematician John von Neumann. One of the most significant experiments confirming the observer effect was done at the prestigious Weizmann Institute of Science in February of 1998. It was reported on in the February 26, 1998 edition of the journal Nature, and you can find that volume 391, pages 871 through 874. It should be noted that according to quantum physicists, the wave function or wave aspect of subatomic particles can only be represented as a wave of possibility when it is not being observed and not as a localized event or particle. It only manifests or collapses into a measurable particle of matter when it is being consciously observed. Thus, renowned theoretical physicist Amit Goswami, in his book titled God is Not Dead, states that without consciousness there is no collapse, nor material particles, nor materiality. Okay, so now, what are we saying? We are saying that when there's no conscious projection, listen to me, when there is no conscious projection of black people who hold this subatomic energy, where there's conscious observation of this energy, then things collapse. When there's a conscious effort in bringing about this collective etherical nine-ether consciousness, then you have a different reaction. Okay? So it is the observation of these people who create this. Now it talks about, and we're gonna get in some more of this. So we're gonna ask that you stay with us. We don't want to rush this, so we're gonna take a pause, and we're gonna come back. This is the bringing of the universe in existence by the conscious quantum physics molecular energy being emanated through the universe through the black consciousness of the black man and the black woman. And I'm giving to you this as it's being given to me. And you might say, oh man, that's crazy, bro. Yeah, it is true. So the fight is against the higher consciousness of the godness of man. Okay? Because if you are, listen to this, if you are deeming and you're saying that Jesus, for one moment, think about this, was a man, the God man on the planet, and that you are connected to this source, this spiritual source, what would that make you? If you properly interpret this, not as a worship, because you have to understand that this whole thing has been flipped on you. To get you away from your God self, you are that Christ. It is you who are that Christ. I know that's hard to take in. I know that's hard to fathom, because you want to look at something outside of yourself that you feel you need to worship. You feel that you need to pay homage to. And so when I say, I thank the Creator, are you not saying I thank myself? I thank the creative force that's within me, that's within this universe, that formed me through his divine wisdom, his divine being, his divine thinking, that I'm within the divine. Okay, so we are going to pause there and we are going to come back. Okay? Stay with us.